like many people, it was 3 years ago, 3 years, 3 weeks, when Eileen Cady washed up on the shores, and that really did spark. Yeah, it was that picture, and so many volunteers that you meet. I've met volunteers from all over the world, and it's that picture. And as Becky said, you know what, this is happening every day still, and that's just something that we all need to think about. And actually, I agree with Becky that it's worse than it was back then, 3 years ago, because there's also more of a hostile environment towards, I hate the word refugees as well, but for want of a better word, refugees and asylum seekers. So I don't know if any of you know, but a lot of the boats that have been in the Med and the Aegean to rescue people have been grounded. And people have been arrested and put in jail for rescuing people. And I mean, that's just, that's the way we're going. There's a real crisis of solidarity. So, this is Biel. I've been here a couple of times now, doing work out there. Harborough Helping Refugees. We raise money and we raise aid as well to take out to these camps. So this is Chios. It's a little island which is off the Turkish coast, and I mean it just gives you a little flavour of what it's like there. This was back in June, and it's a dangerous place to live. There's often fights in the camp. People queue in the boiling hot heat for maybe 3 hours for food which is barely edible. There's nowhere to wash your clothes or anything like that. You have to wash them in the bottom of the shower. There's not enough showers, there's not enough toilets. I could go on and on and on. And people, I mean, there's a lot of people, maybe because it's so overcrowded, there's hundreds of people sleeping in woods and in fields. We're talking families, disabled people, kids, all of that, the whole range. And then so people try to make shelters. Obviously we've got winter coming now, so I'm in the process now, Harborough Helping Refugees. We're collecting coats and we're collecting shoes. We're going to be using Ellie Solidarity's warehouse and hopefully some of their expertise for sorting things like this at the warehouse. So we've had a phenomenal response, and we've got loads of equipment to send out there in a container, which is going in October. Because when winter starts to come, it just sends me with dread, because I just think of all those people living in situations like that, because the rain comes and it's just unbearable. So just to talk about a couple of people that I met when I was there. So this was a man who just basically dragged me to where he was living and to beg me for help. And I just try to say, I'm just a volunteer, I'm not a medic, any of this. But anyway, I went and I met his wife and his kids. And so she's pregnant. This is where they were living. You would crawl under here, and this is where they were living. 2 kids, a pregnant woman, and the husband who was just desperate. And I said, look, all I can do is I can take your case number, and I can try and get in touch with somebody I know, because we've got, as Becky was saying, there's networks, and so you can try and find somebody who can help. I don't know, maybe someone will. And I said to him, look, I can get you blankets, I can get you clothes, any of this you need. He said, no, just please get my wife out of here, because she was having problems with the pregnancy. And anyway, so I did get in touch with somebody who knew the UNHCR out there, and so she went to the UNHCR and she said, this is a really vulnerable family and this is where they're living. And they said, oh yeah, that's normal. And she said, well, can you help? Can we get them moved? They'll be on the list, but I wouldn't hold your breath. And so I knew somebody sort of 5 weeks later was going out, and so I described where they were, and I said, can you just go and check on this family and see if they're still there? Hopefully they're not, maybe they've moved into an apartment. And she went and she found them, they were still there, and he still didn't want anything, he still just wanted someone to help him get out of the camp. So this was a man I met when I was out. I got sent these pictures by one of the residents of the camp, and he was like, Emma, you've got to help this man, you've got to help this man. It's like, yeah. So this is where he was living, in this tent, and he'd been in a bomb in Syria, and how he'd got to Chios was just amazing, really, with his cousin, so just the 2 of them. And but he didn't really have much of a job. and so he couldn't eat solid food. And his cousin brought him over and he said, I can't feed him. I can't feed him, he's starving to death. And it was just like, so, I mean, we did the minimum that he could, which was bringing in bottles of water that he could drink through a camp because it was boiling hot, and getting protein and shakes. And so that, and again, got onto someone else to say, what can we do about this? I don't know enough people. And so she wrote with her organisation to UNHCR and to the EU. And she wrote a letter along with the doctor and basically said, if this, because this went on for all the time I was there. So he was there for, a good few weeks living in these conditions. And so the doctor had written, this guy has got danger of death. And then she wrote to say, if something isn't done, then we're going to go public and put the photos out there. Next day he gets moved to an apartment. But he could have easily just been there for however long if she hadn't managed to do that. And so when we're out there, this was an Eid food preparation because the food is so bad, like I say, so fresh fruit, vegetables and dried food, and getting that out there. Some people have got cooking facilities, people who haven't make little fires. And then just doing art projects with the kids. I do try to do this as well as the big distributions because it gives you that little feeling of, So yeah, so this is the camp, and actually these are all letters of solidarity from England, and I took hundreds of those over there, and we decorated the trees. I think you can see there's cards, and then there was kites hanging on the trees, and this was at Eid, and they all had little messages on, and so at the end all the kids, I said you can go and take one, and they all chose one, and so they took that back to the tent, so that was quite nice. Have I gone in there? So one thing which really struck me, this was just stickers. I had a load of stickers and the kids were lining up, giving out a sticker. And but what they really relished was that I said to them, you can choose one. And that to them, they were like, choose one? Yeah. We choose it, and then they go back to the back of the line, and then they come back, and they were so well behaved. But it just really struck me. It's the one thing that's, we take so for granted. It's choice. They get no real choices. You haven't got the control over your life, and so just to even choose a sticker, they were just so happy with that. So current campaigns. The one I wanted to talk about was South Leicestershire community sponsorship. If anyone ever wants to buy any of these, they're made by Syrian refugees living in Turkey, and all the money goes back to them, £5 each. And then coats and shoes is what we're collecting at the moment. And I always leave that one on because that's my little boy. He's like my master sorter. I think Becky does the same with her kids. He's like got a proper system going, sorting food and stuff. So I'll move on to South Leicestershire community sponsorship. So we're switching a little bit here. So this is quite a newish group. And what we're doing is we're putting together all of the paperwork and the funds, and getting the house, and getting all the English language through Leicester University, teaching for a Syrian family to come over from one of the camps in Lebanon, probably Lebanon, to South Leicester. So we've got the house, we've got most of the funds, we're in the process of doing the paperwork. So it would be great if, obviously if you're here, then you've got a lot of solidarity within you anyway. If you could join our Facebook page to keep up to date, either Harborough Helping Refugees or South Leicestershire Community Sponsorship. I mean, it'd be great for anyone to become involved with that. So we're quite far down the line. We've got a beautiful house, and like I said, most of the funds and all the big things are now in place. And this is going to be the first of, we hope, of many. And we're doing that with Salvation Army, are the main, because we have to be a registered charity, which Harborough Helping Refugees has always shied away from because of just all the paperwork, and we're just volunteers, we work, we've got kids, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, South Leicestershire Community Sponsorship is a joint thing with Salvation Army, and this is the first one, and we're already thinking about the next house, and the next house, and the next house after that. So that's really exciting. And we are blessed in Leicester with so many great organisations, grassroots organisations and small charities. So there I've got a few, obviously Harborough Helping Refugees, Early Solidarity we work with a lot, After 18 who I've worked with before, One Roof. And then, just trying to keep up to date with what's going on. Are You Serious is a great group. Refugee is a fantastic group, and then Sea Watch, and then further afield there are some of the groups that I've worked with when I've been out in the camps. So yeah, we really are blessed. I mean, anyone who wants to get involved and stand on the right side, there is a chance in Leicester to do that. You know, whatever your skills or your time or anything like that. And we've just got to say no to that hostile environment, I think, and stand on the right side. That's what we think.